That's the sound of a tree in Tennessee's Great Smoky Mountains, releasing volatile organic compounds, which is just a fancy way of saying it's creating fog. And that makes the Smokies smoky. This is one of many sounds in Tennessee with a story to tell. To hear them in person, plan your trip at tnvacation.com. Tennessee sounds perfect.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of All Consuming Podcast. Today we get to do an album that I'm super stoked for. Band called Hands.
Yeah.
Album called Give Me Rest. I've been looking forward to them for so long, and Tyler has been looking forward to them for not so long.
Okay, obviously I like them. I just didn't really know them like when we started this podcast like 3 years ago, right? We wrote down all the bands and albums that we wanted to cover. You know, like we wanted to do Breaker for today. We wanted to do Devil Wears Prada. I was like, whatever it is, right?
ABR. Yeah.
Yeah, August Burns Red. And specifically, I remember on Gary's, he wrote down Hands. And I figured that we wouldn't be a podcast that long.
We'll never get there. Yeah.
We'll never get there, so I don't have to worry about listening to any Hands albums. But here we are 3 years later, and it's crazy because, like, listening to Hands, I'm like, where was I, dude? You know? I do this every time.
That's true.
You know?
You do.
I think it's just because music is, like, there's a lot of music out there that at first people don't really like, but you give it time, people like it. It's anything. I think if you give Taylor Swift time, you'll end up liking it. If you give,
I don't think that's true.
you give any your bands that maybe give Need to Breathe enough time, I might like them.
Maybe one day.
I don't know. Maybe you just finally appreciate, you know, the talent that they have.
You know, so Tyler and I have been prepping for this for like how long? Like a month plus. Like we've decided this was our next album, like January.
Well, we haven't been necessarily prepping. We've gone in a different direction.
Yeah. Our podcast has made other decisions, and we've done other things outside of that. But I just mean, like, we knew that the next review album was going to be this one. So we've been, like, casually listening to it and stuff. And so, like, my wife had a marathon this past weekend over in where Tyler lives. And so we went and hung out and saw Tyler and his family and hung out. And every once in a while, he'd be like, man, Hands is so good. I'm looking forward to it. He's like, I'm ready.
I'm ready for
It's going to be good.
It was actually super fun hanging out. We got to do the whole thing where... So Gary and I went out. Wives stayed home with the kids the first night, and we went out. We went to this one like arcade bar thing, you know, and you go there and there's like all these arcade games, and you can
played
have drinks.
some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, some Rampage. Yeah.
Yep. And we saw right when I walked in, I saw a few things. I saw a former student, which is just the kind of like the average day of my life. I just see former students.
Oh, there's Mr. Hogue.
Pointed out, you know. And then right away I noticed there was a dude in a Fit for King sweatshirt, you know. And so we had. And
I was getting quarters, and you're like, I'm gonna go make a new friend.
And I walked up to him, and I was like, dude, nice sweatshirt. And then I saw the front.
Like that? You're like, nice sweatshirt.
And I saw like the front of the sweatshirt said The Path, and I was like, oh, never mind. And I walked away. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Obviously, no. I said, nice sweatshirt. He's like, oh, man, yeah, you know Fit for a King? And I was like, yeah, dude, they're awesome. And he's like, have you ever seen them live? And I was like, yeah, dude, last week. He's like, what?
A couple weeks, yeah.
What? You know, and so that was pretty cool. He was like, yeah, man, they're so cool. And I was like, yeah. So we didn't become friends, but, I mean, we made conversation.
He left immediately as soon as Tyler walked away from him. He's like, I'm out of here.
That dude is weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was cool hanging out, and definitely excited to do this deep dive. It is weird because we've been doing these core values episodes where it's like a reaction thing, you know?
Yeah.
And there's like no prep to it. So to prep and to write the notes and do this and be ready feels a little different, you know? But it's back to our roots.
It feels more serious. Professional, right. Formal.
The jokes will be limited. We will only say Lamentations. Well, actually, we'll say Lamentations 50 times because it's serious.
Probably. We probably will, yeah.
So I think I'm ready. Do you want to just like jump in and get this going, dude?
Sure. So as we've said, we're doing Hands today. Their album,
Yes.
Give Me Rest. And Hands is from this town called Fargo, North Dakota. Cold up there.
Very.
So this album was released July 15th, 2011. That means like 13 years ago.
It's crazy.
Yeah, long time ago. So there's 3 guys in this band at this time for this album, or at least who's credited in the studio for making the album. So you have Shane. I'm going to butcher a bunch of names. Are you ready? Shane, their vocalist and guitarist, and the producer. Right, Shane Ochsner. Hard to say. I'm going to say Shane all day. On drums is Josh Silbernagel.
These are fake names, dude.
No, that's really his name. And then Chris Schwartz on bass. And I went and like hunted them down to follow them on Instagram and stuff. And Chris Schwartz already follows us. And I was like, dude, awesome.
That's cool.
So it was mixed, produced, all that by Joshua Barber and Joey Meter at Covenant Studios. So, I always have to look up, what else have they done?
Right.
What sounds can we like associate with this? So the other things that these guys have worked on, all Facedown. Hope for the Dying.
Yeah.
Hands, like the one we're talking about. The band Your Memorial, Colossus,
Sweet.
Lightworker's very first EP.
Oh.
Good luck finding it. And like Letter to the Exiles. And there's a couple more, but those are like the names of bands all on Facedown, and it's like kind of the sound that we're gonna relate together. So yeah, I have some notes from the singer. He wrote a big paragraph or 3 kind of overlapping this, and I'm not going to read them, so instead I have bullet points.
Sweet, dude.
I recommend you going to Facedown's website. Just search on their news. You can search for bands, search for Hands, and you can see like he wrote like this 3-paragraph thing explaining the work of the album and the changes that it happened in his life and with the band to get to this sound.
Right.
So here's some snippets that Shane had about this album.
Okay.
They used 5 different drum kits, 5 different guitar amps, 8 different guitars, and
Wow.
several different miscellaneous instruments to cater to each song.
Cool.
So, I mean, you do hit a wide range of sounds and tones.
Absolutely.
And, like, you could just tell. And I'm sure playing this live was hard. Trying to get the right sound.
Yeah, dude.
So between this album and the previous album called Creator, a lot has changed. And this is where I'm taking his words and putting my words into it. He said he woke up one day and he realized that he had no idea who God truly was, why he believed in him, and if his relationship with him was as honest as he had preached that it was. And he felt he was getting pushed further from Christianity. He gets to a point where he was watching a YouTube video of a massive group of kids at Cornerstone. They were surrounding a protester outside the festival gates, and they were shouting prayers and arguments with the guy like it was the last thing that they were ever going to do on earth. So you can picture just being violent and vicious and not a pretty sight. And he says, I was absolutely disgusted. Am I really a part of this Christian scene, right? These are Christians attacking this protester outside this festival. Another bullet point, this album is about his struggle with his faith, his struggle to call himself a true believer, about starting over and actually seeking God with all of your heart. And he encourages us to take your roots, plant them at the foot of the cross, and know that God's vision is so much bigger than anything our tiny minds will ever understand.
I love all that.
Those are his bullet points for this album. And I mean, I can already think of a few songs just based on those bullet points.
Yeah, me
where
too.
it's like, that song, you know?
Dude, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
That's a crazy, like, the Cornerstone thing is really interesting because I think, like, not just in the music, like, heavy music, Christian scene or whatever, like, in just Christianity in general, right?
Oh, for sure.
Like, we're just so quick to, like, be snip back or to fight, to be ugly, to whatever, to something that we don't necessarily agree with or something that's against us.
Yeah, I think I was planning on bringing this up during the song that I think it's about, but I think it's interesting the perspective that he took when he saw that. Like, when I see quote unquote, right, Christians acting a way that I would say is not Christ-like, or like, ooh, that's not Christian. Don't worry, what they're doing isn't real. You know, Westboro Baptist, they're not Christians. You know, like, you know, it's like I would categorize them as like a different label and be like, they're not part of me. Where what Shane is doing is he's looking at it like, am I a part of this?
Dude,
this is what I'm about?
Yeah.
And I can totally see you start to question, like, wait, like, is this what I believe? Am I a part of this? Is this how we are? So it's an interesting perspective that he took in that scenario where I think most Christians, you know, especially on social media, we quickly scroll past, like, oh boy, that's not right. Yeah. Nope, those Christians are not replying to that video correctly, you know?
Right.
And it's like, I'm not getting involved, I'm done. That's not it. But, yeah. So I think that's a interesting way to start. We got a pretty decent picture of the overall idea that Shane had when he started. Should we start?
I think we should.
Okay, we're going to do this. We got 10 songs. We will select our favorite ones for the episode. If you're a patron, you're going to hear all of them.
Woo!
So buckle up. We'll start with track 1, I Will.
Shaking ground and lit a match to watch it burn. Set me free. Set me
free. One thing I think this album is going to nail all day is like the ambient space, you know?
For sure. I always thought always going back and listening to Hands, I definitely heard like the Meadows melodic kind of sometimes hardcore, but I mean the new Meadows stuff I feel like isn't really this.
Yeah.
You know, but I do love the ambience. It's a good call.
I love that tone. I'll say this a few times. I think what I'm reminded of is like POD.
Oh yeah,
like those electric guitar tones that are very,
for sure,
you know, a lot of reverb. And I've also been listening to POD a lot lately, so
he definitely packs so much emotion in his screams, you know.
Yes. Like, I like when sometimes even his scream, it like breaks.
Yeah.
Or like has a crack in it. And it's like, man, you just know it's so raw. There's so much energy in it.
Oof. Love that part so much.
So good. That's so brutal. Those vocals, man.
Oh, yeah. And then you get this vocals, the ambience, beautiful. It's awesome.
So what are your thoughts on the first song?
I love it. I mean, it's definitely top 5 for sure. It might be my second favorite song on the entire album.
It's like their most played song, and I'm kind of upset about that.
Why? It's such a good song.
I think it was their single.
Yeah, and it is
Right.
the first song on the album, you know, so it probably gets a lot of plays because of that.
Yeah.
No, I love the message. I think it goes back to kind of what was said, you know, this idea of struggling to believe, to have faith, you know.
Yeah, I like that. So he was saying in my bullet points,
Yeah.
that it's about, you know, seeking God with all of your heart. And he has that line where he says, "I built my house on shaking ground,
Yeah.
and I lit a match to watch it burn." It's like, I'm starting over. I'm going to burn this whole thing down. Right? And he's like, "Set me free. Give me the strength to rebuild," ideally on his cornerstone, right? And I also like the subtle hint of the rainbow, the "let it rain," to remind me that there's something more.
Yeah.
You know, like God's covenant. So, I don't know, there's a lot of hidden messages in it, but it's so simple, and for 4 minutes, like, there's really not a lot of lyrics, and everything is just so spaced, you know?
Yeah.
I love it.
You know, like, I think many Christians totally can understand and maybe even like be like, I've been there, like the way he is, you know, like you can tell that he truthfully is trying to seek this relationship with God. And there's so many people and so many Christians that, like, I don't want to say they're fake Christians, right? But this is not even a thought in their mind. You know what I mean? Just the idea of, like, we're just going to to church. It's just a society thing. And it's like, it's not that at all.
Yeah, I think this album is, like, written from the mind of a man who is deconstructing.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know, you can see in some of the songs he is putting the pieces back together and finding the truth, finding what he believes, and is seeking God wholeheartedly, and is like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this with everything I got, and pursues Christ. And you will see in songs to come, but I think, yeah, I mean, that's the best way I could think about it. You know, a lot of people associate deconstructing with bad.
There's a connotation to it, a negative connotation.
Well, yes, because a lot of people have deconstructed and went a whole different way. So you have people that are in the church or in the community, they deconstruct, they go this whatever way they go, all the various ways that people can go that gets the bad connotation. And you look at that and go, like, oh boy, that's what deconstructing is. And so we have this view from the church looking at that, where I think a lot of Christians, especially when you hit about 30 years old, you know, once you graduate college and you start a family and stuff, and you're like, wait, like, what's important to me? What am I going to teach my kids? You know, what do I believe?
Yeah.
Is any of this real? Do I even have a faith, you know? I think it's just something that happens.
It's the examining of, like, what you believe, why you believe it. And I think that's good, right? Like, so deconstruction has a negative connotation, but I think you said it already, like, it's the reconstruction part of it, right? Like, you go and you look deeper and you're like, okay, here's where I'm failing. Here's where I'm wrong, and I got to make it right. And it's based upon not necessarily you, right? Although you got to examine yourself, but it's based upon God's word and everything, you know?
Right.
And so, yeah, super, super awesome way to start this album. So he starts the album by saying he's burned his house basically down, his faith down, and he's starting over.
Yeah. Well, give him the strength to rebuild. I think he wants to rebuild.
Wants to.
You know, help me become a better man. So he's definitely reaching out to God and saying, you know, I'm starting over. Well, let's do this. And I don't think this is necessarily a concept album unless the concept is struggle.
It is, you know. Well, it does, like, the chorus in this talks about rest,
my soul in you.
and the very end, last song,
whole lot, yeah.
Rest, you know, there's that struggle, and help me not struggle. This toil is tough, you know.
Yep.
But,
well, shall we move on to the next one?
Let's do it. The next song is
Water. Well, we're 40 seconds in and we've hit half the lyrics.
I just want something real.
Yeah, and then we get hit with vocals like this, man.
Idle threat vocals. That's what I automatically think of.
I think of like My Epic.
It's such a beautiful singing tone for like the absolutely gross spoiled
jumps out,
fruit reap from crooked trees.
Are these your branches? I'm so disgusted with all of
So heavy.
this. I want to recover.
Love that guitar. Really do.
Are these your branches? I'm so disgusted with all of this. I want to recover. Forgive me for falling out. It's just not the way I say you. Take me to the water. Let there be light. So reveal everything we've become. Take me to the water. Be still, my brother. Be still, so we may hear his voice. Be still, my brother. Be still, so we may hear his voice. Be still, my brother. Be still, so
I love how this pulls you all the way down. Super chill. You're calm now, you know?
And it started so heavy.
Yeah. Like they've repeated this line like 6 times, and each time it's like a step more calm.
And boom, there we go.
Just screaming.
let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be light. Take me to the light.
Oh,
Chunky
I
and
absolutely love that tone, dude.
them drums. Boom.
So I think that when you're talking about the Cornerstone kids and the protester or whatever, this was the song I thought.
Sure.
Was
Yeah,
about
this
that,
is what
right?
I think of too. Mm-hmm.
Especially like, you know, God, are these your seeds? Are these your branches? I'm so disgusted with all of this, you know. That's kind of what I thought, and it's like, man, it's a heavy song, you know, for sure. Like both musically and lyrically.
Yeah. This is probably my favorite song on the album.
Oh.
It's so heavy and it gets so peaceful.
Yeah.
And like, I just love that it takes you all the way down to basically no sound playing at all, right? Like, think of all those songs that we like where this song just kind of stops, there's a long pause, and then it just jumps right in. Like, this one does that. But I also really liked when he said, let there be light to reveal everything we've become.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like I'm so disgusted with this and like, oh, like, they're not Christians, I'm not like that. He's like, expose this, let the people see the light for what this is. Like, look what we've become. Look at you guys around this guy protesting and like yelling at him, arguing at him, shouting at him, right?
Right.
And I haven't looked up the video on YouTube. I'm sure if we looked, furnace or Cornerstone protester or something, I'm sure we'll see something that he saw. But
here's the thing, dude. Here's the question, right? Because there's a lot of people out here, or there's probably a lot of people there that were like, this is justified. There's some dude that's anti-Christian, that's pro things that we're not pro.
He might not be anti-Christian. He might be a Christian protesting.
But let's say he
music.
was. Even if, like, I would assume he was protesting Cornerstone.
For the faith or for the metal?
My assumption would be he is protesting the faith part of it.
Okay.
Just talking about it, right? And so there's
and
probably
like,
a lot of people
make sure
who
you
joined
shove
in.
him down and kick him too, right?
Right? And so I think, like, there's a lot of people that are Christians that would be like, dude, yeah, let's get this dude out of here. Let's pray for him. He's not a Christian. Let's hurl insults at him. Let's whatever it is, right? Like, it's hard not to join in, right? So when you look at it, it's not necessarily wrong, but it is wrong, right?
Well, I don't know and we don't know the extent of the
extent of the connotations.
Yeah.
But that's what I would think it is. I wouldn't think it's about metal. I mean, it's not that. I don't know.
Reverse heckling. I don't see it as that. I see it as like people circling the dude and kind of like throwing signs on the ground, being really disrespectful.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yeah. Throwing signs, telling him to get out of here. Like, I agree. That's probably what it was. But I'm saying, like, if you're doing it in the name of they're anti-Christian or they're that,
in the name
right?
of. Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you're in that situation, are you like, good, they threw those signs down that were anti-Christian, that were pro-abortion, or that were whatever, right? Like, like, imagine today, what are some things that are protested that we don't necessarily agree with? How do we treat those people?
I'm sorry, are you trying to tell me that it's justified what they're doing?
No, I'm trying to say, like, think about this. Like, we as Christians, we do this and probably don't bat an eye.
Oh, right, because someone's standing up for our beliefs is how we see it.
Yeah, they're standing up for Christianity. Or you drive by whatever protest and flip a bird or whatever, right? Like, so you see somebody do that, you're like, yeah.
As one does, yes.
As one does. You know what I mean? I just feel like people don't think this is gross. I don't think people
by default. I see.
By default,
right.
They look at, so if there is a pro-abortion protest, okay, outside of a court, and you take a sign and rip it in half and get in their face, right? I think a lot of people would be like, damn right.
Sure.
Or dang right.
Darn tootin'.
Darn tootin'. And so, like, but, like, the heart of the person that did that is most likely what he saw was just, like, absolute brutality against a human being. And that witness that you once had, right, where maybe you could have some respect and show the truth of God, it gets gone at that point, right?
Right.
And I think that's what I'm trying to get at is, like, I don't think we think this is gross. Like, he literally wrote this song about, like, these people who thought they were doing the right thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you're going on a weird thought there.
We think we're doing the right thing all the time. And we're probably not a lot of the time. The things we stand up for, the things that we encourage in our society that are extra biblical, but that we just believe in.
Sure. We're not introspective.
Yeah.
Right? We look at what other people do and go, what they're doing is wrong, what they're doing is bad, but there's probably something else that we're doing that others are looking at us being like,
yeah.
But I think this was a mob mentality get the guy who's, against what we're doing here at Cornerstone, right? That's how I see what occurred. And I could see that, 10 on 1, right? One person holding a sign and 10 people go there and start shoving around, take a sign, kick dirt, whatever, say things, swear at them, yell at them, shout at them, say Bible verses, I don't know, whatever they're doing. Yeah. And be like, dude, that is not what Jesus had in mind when he said, be my hands and feet. Like, right. And I that's how I see it. And now we haven't seen the video. Who knows? It was it one person?
But I think it's like, yes, it is a situation, but it's bigger than that, right? Like, it's a situation, but like, we look at these lyrics and like this song because it's bigger than that. It's not really about a guy at Cornerstone.
Absolutely. Yes. Right.
So what are those things that we do?
Absolutely. There's tons of stuff that you see Christians do, and you're just like, that's not it. That's not Christ. Especially on the internet. Right?
Yeah.
Like, someone posts something about a president, and a Christian that responds, and it's just the most vulgar, like, rudest, most hard-hearted thing you've ever seen written from a family member or a friend that is a Christian, and like, you're like reading this reply to someone, and you're like, that came out of your fingertips? That's really what you wanted to say to this complete stranger on the internet?
Yeah. And in real life, you're like, you're nothing like that. You're so nice and you're so cool. And then on the internet, you're like, what?
Yeah. But you just see things like that, and that's exactly what you think. Well, I don't think I've ever thought, God, are these your seeds? Are these your branches? Right? Like, I've never thought that, but I've really, I usually say, like, so I don't know. I like the perspective of the song being like talking to God and being like, am I a seed like them? Are we all branches? Is this what I am? God, is this you? This is yours? Yeah. And I could see the deconstruction beginning when you see sinful things occur, especially like in the church, and you're like, wait, this is what Christianity is? This church where there's this, or whatever church hurt is going on, and you're like, yikes, I don't want to be part of this.
Yeah. 100%. And it goes, I think of close your eyes, the body. This can't be the body that you spoke of, right? Like, this can't be it. If it is, then I don't want to be a part of it. And that's hard, man. It's hard sometimes, and I think there are churches in areas in America where you look around and you're like, man, if this is it,
it ain't
it, dude. Like, it ain't it. Like, it's brutal. So I do feel this, and hopefully we can be more introspective of what we're doing and get better, make me a better man, right? Like, that's what it comes down to.
Yep.
But
let's move on to the next one.
Hi, I'm Lara. After 20 years of Lara Bar, I still believe that simple and real can be delicious, which is why we're introducing Trail Mix Bars, a new crunchy, chewy Lara Bar made with regenerative almonds. Follow our almond journey at larabar.com.
What if laptop performance was reborn with AI? Boost your productivity with the Snapdragon X Elite platform for Windows. Shop now at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
Let's do it. The next song is called The Helix. And it starts way different.
And I am not alone. Would you clear the dust from my eyes? Would you recognize my voice if I would talk to you?
Another song of struggle.
And almost like doubt.
Yeah.
Would you recognize my voice if I would talk to you? Like, do you even know who I am? I'm so insignificant.
Absolutely. Oh boy.
So wake me.
Okay, I'm awake. Jeez.
All right. Here we go. Yeah, I love this next couple verses.
Me too.
This is like that late night drive.
I believe your hands
Absolutely.
hold the sun. But in the deepest of my mind, I question everything you've done.
What's the name of this album?
There it is. I mean, if that's the theme, that of an album, that's it right there.
Yeah.
Rest. End these struggles. Make me believe.
I believe your breath fills my lungs.
Dude, that's so brutal.
But it's a thought that's hard to swallow. I feel ashamed, I can't hold on. Oh, give me rest.
It's so crazy. The tone of the song, the music, and he's going out there like that.
Absolutely.
Screaming so hard, so low, growling, right? That's nuts.
I feel ashamed, I can't hold on.
I love that line. Feel ashamed I can't hold on. You don't like talking about your doubts of God in small group or at church or in front of anyone, right? Like,
Because the people are like, really? How could you not?
And then they'll give you a Bible verse and be like, just keep on going. You got it.
Oh, it says right here. Slightly drumming, what, offbeat?
Yeah.
Man, this album is so good at space.
Get me right.
It's kind of like him giving in and being like, I'm pursuing you. Like, lead me. I'll take your hand. Don't ever let me go.
Yeah. I love that the music was like soft when he was screaming heavy, and then
Yeah,
it's
like
heavy when
heavier.
he's singing.
Yeah. I love this part. Even after he doubles down and he's like, I will take your hand, lead me through the dark, he's still like, I feel ashamed I can't hold on. No matter how much he pursues. And I don't know, man, this is an honest struggle, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is so open. This is great.
Don't ever let me go. Don't ever let me go. Be still and know that I am God.
Breakdown?
Groove down?
Be still and know that I am
it's amazing.
So why is the song called Helix?
It's a good
What
question.
movie is that from?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, but all I know is that I think we, in our faith, the body of Christ, and I'm speaking right now for everybody, we need to have more honest conversations, dude. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I don't know. I always would like, you lead Bible studies and do that stuff, and you have your, accountability groups or whatever, But honest conversations are really hard to do.
Yeah, and I think they're important. I mean, if you don't, and you let the doubt linger, and you don't, I don't know, seek counsel from someone that you trust and that their opinion matters to you, who knows where you're going to go, or where your thoughts will wander, or how if your faith's going to just disappear or go a way different way than you thought, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to be able to have someone that you can be honest with and say, I struggle with this in the Bible, and I know there's so many things that people say like, oh, well, if it's in the Bible, it's true. It's like, okay, but there's also a lot of things that aren't in the Bible that I'm struggling with, and usually it's faith related.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is like, a lot of people will share like their anxiety or their depression or their, fear of death, right? Like, what happens when I die? Well, read your Bible, you'll know. And it's like, I know what it says.
Right.
How do I feel what my head is telling me?
For sure.
Right? And they're like, oh, well, you just need to rest in Christ. Put all your anxiety on him. And I'm like, okay, I will pray and we'll talk about it. And, it's like, how's it going, Gary? How's your anxiety? How's your depression? How's, whatever it is. And you're like, I'll just tell you because I'm tired of talking about it. I'm good. Thank you for asking,
Right.
like, but you're not.
Yeah.
Or like, it's not bad this season. There's other seasons in life where things get harder. Anyway, I'm just venting and rambling.
Dude, no,
and
you're right.
It's not. I'm not trying to say these are things I struggle with, and I've told people of the things I struggle. Even on this podcast, I've talked about it in past episodes. I'm just kind of combining my community group, my small group at church. There's the guys get together a couple times a month, and sometimes we talk about the sermon, and sometimes it's just like, dude, like, how's it going? And they're like, kids are hard,
Right.
and being honest like that. That's such a great. I don't know, a great tool that your brothers and sisters in Christ can provide for you. Because they have your soul at heart. They care for you, and you have the same foundation.
Yeah. And it's so hard to have those because you do feel, depending on what you're saying, right? Like, you can be honest about things that everyone struggles with, and that's not very shameful to feel, right? Like, like you said, kids are hard. Parenting's tough. Most parents feel that. If you're a parent and it's not tough for you, tell me what you're doing.
Your
right?
kids are wonderful, aren't they?
you need to write a book and I'll read it. But like the deeper stuff, like the actual like questioning your faith, right? Mm-hmm. Like understanding and saying like, man, there's just times where like I lay in bed at night or whatever, and think about, like you said, the fear of dying or what's going to happen, and anxiety and depression, like real talk that happens, I think it's a pretty big problem in the church that we don't want to talk about it, or we want to just put a Band-Aid by saying a verse without actually applying that verse, or whatever it is, and that Band-Aid comes off. And
you don't want you don't want people at your church to like, when you ask a question like that, they're like, oh, so he's not a strong Christian.
Dude, yeah.
And it's like, oh, he can never be an elder. He struggles with questioning if Jesus was actually just an alien.
Yeah.
Because he stayed up too late and watched History Channel, and now he doesn't know what the freaking pyramids are. And
for sure.
But
yeah, I remember when I first was saved, like 2007 or 8 or something. And the leaders of our church, like there was like the pastors and there was like the leader. It was interesting church, but anyways, and like the direct leaders, the people that led our group, like they like left the faith.
Okay.
Right. And they like were like, don't believe all this. And my mind was like, that can happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's a real thing. Like, but you're like teaching me, you were like the leader, you know, or whatever. And it's like, man, like that stuff happens, but you never ever would have guessed it because there was never once in conversation any doubts, any, you know, worries or like struggles. It was always just, you know, like band-aids, like, oh yeah, trust in God, you know, and all this, which is all true, but there was obviously something more there.
There was an infection.
Yeah, dude. I hope, and I'm just as bad when people ask me for, you know, how's it going? It's going good. How can I pray for you? I'm like, I'm going on a trip. Please pray for my safety.
Drive safe.
Right? Like, you get one of those, how can I pray for you? Oh,
dude,
I feel like
Tyler,
I'm coming down with a cold. Yeah.
I've told you this before.
What?
I don't remember where I heard it. It might have been Kevin from, you know, our youth pastor, kind of our campus ministry pastor. Someone told me, I don't remember when, if someone asks you, what can I pray for?
Yeah.
And you're just like blanking. You're like, I don't know. Life's good, man. Like, or like you don't want to get anything, or like you don't want to get into it. You don't have anything in the front of your mind. Always just say, pray for my pride.
Okay, I can only say
I am
so
doing
many times.
so good that there is nothing I can think of that's bad that I need prayer for. Boom, you're prideful. There's nothing that comes to mind. Pray for your pride. Like that's the fastest answer you should come up with.
But what if there's a lot of things that come to mind, but you're like, I just don't want to get into it right now.
Humility. I don't know.
Yeah. Another Kevin thought, dude. I was thinking this and I didn't get to say it about water.
Yeah.
I will remember this sermon for the rest of my life. And he probably, I don't know if he made
From
himself.
Kevin, our campus ministry pastor.
Dude. And I will remember this sermon for the rest of my life. I don't know if he took it from someone or he made himself, but whatever. Basically, the whole purpose was like, there's like the well, the water, Jesus. And we are all like, hopefully pointing and going towards that well. Like our arrows
we're like
are going
sheep
that
in a
way.
field, right? And we're trying to get to the well.
Some of us are farther away than others, but we're all in that direction heading towards the well. And as long as we're in that direction, then we're on track. Like, that's where I like understood sanctification, you know, like in that moment, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like this life of like, keep going to the water. I don't know why you said Kevin, and that brought it up to me.
The sermon. Yeah, I remember that, you know, there was so many discussions and stuff afterwards, just like expounding that metaphor, and like, you know, like people talk about like legalism in Christianity, like those are the fences you put up around the well so you force yourself from not traveling too far from the well. It's like, oh, don't drink. That'll keep you, you know, closer
right
to the well. Like, don't listen to metal music. I mean,
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, good stuff.
Wild. So shall we move on? I mean, we've been on this one for a long time.
We have. Let's move on.
All right. Next song is Here I Am.
Oh, love this intro so much. Like, this could be the Police. You know, this could be like some 80s rock right now.
Not with that bass tone that loud.
Oh, it could be, dude. Every breath you take, every move you make. No?
I could hear that now.
Oh.
On my knees in the wreckage of a broken church, I couldn't pull it together. Oh, how I want to believe that there's a light at the end of this continuous shadow. And as the feeling disappears, here I am. Are you here? Are you here?
Similar theme that we've seen, right?
Yeah. I love that. Whatever that synth pad sound is in the background.
It's beautiful.
I love this song because every like minute, it just gets heavier. Here we go. I guess we got to go soft before we go heavy.
Yeah.
Wake up, my son! Why are you so afraid?
Maybe it's not heavier, it's just a faster tempo, it's more groove.
Very emotional guitars, though.
Why are you so afraid?
That bass, though, man, it is juicy.
Oh God, I'm begging you now, open up my eyes!
So, would you say it was God saying, "Wake up, my son"?
Yeah, I think so.
Why are you so afraid?
Oh, how I want to believe! Here I
So yeah, I like how the song starts with "On my knees in the wreckage of a broken church." It kind of makes it sound like maybe the idea of Cube wasn't so off.
Yeah.
Just, you know, I mean, I was part of, or I witnessed the Mars Hill collapse and stuff with a church like that, and watching the amount of people in it that were like, "Oh my gosh, our pastors can fail us." And just seeing a lot of people like question church, or just say church is bad, it's corrupt, it's all, none of it's good, right? So I don't know, like, I don't know the singers or the whoever wrote the lyrics, like their background or their church or what happened, or if something happened in a broken church that, you know, I just, you know, I can feel the doubt, it's not necessarily the doubt, I can feel the anguish and the, I don't know, feeling lost in the song.
Yeah, how many people, when you hear about like leaving the faith, or they grew up Christians but they're not anymore, they always, you know, say, or people say, oh, you know, they had a lot of church hurt, right?
Yep.
Church hurt them, you know. And I don't know what that really means, but like there's a lot of ways, I guess, you know, there's possibilities, but like it's an interesting idea, right? Like of, okay, you go through church hurt, that's not the end, that's not what it's supposed to be, right? So many people, they get, you know, kind of hurt by people in the church. Maybe pastors are doing things they shouldn't be, right? Or they get caught up in something absolutely atrocious, you know, that you read on the news or whatever, or there's money issues or stuff like that, and people say, church isn't for me then. It burned me once, I'm never going to do that again, instead of looking at it and being like, that's not how it's supposed to be.
Yep.
That's not how it's supposed to be.
You know, and at the same time, a church might be going through some drama or whatever, and sometimes people will leave.
Yeah.
And not stick around to help figure this out. Like, how do we resolve this pain, this hurt, whatever occurred? You know, like, was the church wrong and sinful? Was it a person? Was it a group of people? Like, was something handled incorrectly? Was, you know, like, a lot of people will just be like, at the first sign of a red flag, we'll just leave the church.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not going to this one anymore. Let's go somewhere else. Their pastor yelled at the sound guy for muting him during the sermon. You know, like.
Yeah. That's the consumerism, Americanized Christianity. You know, like I get it. Like I've never been church shopping in my life, right? Like we've been to different churches from church plants or moved cities or whatever, and we've been to different churches.
You're forced to church hop, but you basically went to the first place and called it good?
I've never church shopped, right? I've never gone in and been like, okay, this worship, if it's not what I like, I'm leaving. Never in my life, right? I've never thought that. I go to the website and I look at, you know, what they believe or what they're a part of, and that's the church I'm going to go to, right? That's it. Like nothing else matters to me.
I've shopped.
I know a lot of people that have shopped, but like I also like think to an extent that's probably the wrong attitude.
I don't.
Why?
What matters the most to you in a church? What's the number one thing that needs to be done?
Well, it's what they believed, who they believe Jesus is, the gospel.
Right.
Yeah.
If you go to a church and you sit down, pastor comes out with a stool and his laptop, sets the stool down, puts his laptop down, and talks for 25 minutes on the history of Memorial Day.
I never would have gone to that church.
I didn't go again. If a pastor comes out with Hawaiian shorts, Hawaiian shirt, talks about super excited to take his boat out after church, quotes the Bible, but doesn't reference Bible verses and doesn't even have a Bible open, I don't go to that church. That happened. That also happened until I went to my church, right? To me, the most important thing is that every Sunday the word is read and taught on. That is the most important thing.
Yeah.
The music, it's a plus if it's great.
For sure.
Like if
if
it sounds like a dying squirrel up there and he's singing worship songs, like as long as Jesus is being.
So you can get that by just looking at websites or being a part of a denomination. I'm a denomination guy, dude.
I'm a non-denomination guy.
That's why you're running into issues, bro. There's no rules.
No, so I've gone, the other two churches I went to were denomination, and I chose them because I've gone to churches like that in the past. And this one in particular, for whatever reason, they decided they're going to do a series on American history for a month. And I was like,
that's wild.
I don't care about American history from a pastor. And I would like my pastor to be well read and have a not just the Bible, but lots of books under his belt as like a background or other pastors' opinions and views on scripture. So it's not just like, wow, what this means to me, so instead I get, this is what it is. This is what it meant in the original language. This is what this pastor who lived 500 years ago said. And here's what a pastor down the road who's very famous would say. And like we get a good exposition on the Bible verses.
But I also wouldn't say like you're church shopping. Like you're just trying to find a church that preaches the gospel.
How is that any different? I'm shopping for an actual church, not a cultural or traditional. So when we talk about like church shopping, more times than not, it's based upon the music or how they feel like the setup or I wasn't
the
welcomed.
Coffee ministry,
Sure.
Ooh, the childcare, like all those things, like the pluses, like you said. Like if that happens, that's cool.
I don't know. I think that happens a lot. Like people who kind of get back into church these days, especially after COVID, they're going to like mega churches. They're going to big ones, right? Because they're like, look at all these facilities they have. They have this awesome daycare thing that you could check your kids into, and then you get to go into the service and you get free Starbucks coffee, and you get pampered, and it's great. But what happens over time is eventually you're like, I don't know any of these 8,000 people here. I come every Sunday. I don't see the same person twice.
Yeah.
No one knows who I am. I don't feel connected or plugged in. This is just a big concert with a nice public speaker. And I don't mean to bash people who go to those churches. I am sure that there are some that have great pastors.
Absolutely.
And if you put the effort in, you can find a community group and a network within that mega church where like you and that group of 10, 15 people are like, oh, every Sunday sitting next to each other, and you have your own. To me, that is a church, you know.
Yeah.
But eventually, like I've known lots of families who've come to our church and friends of ours that have gone to different churches. That's what they're like. You know, we just couldn't get plugged in. And like we were getting sermons that were like more for, remember that time Jonah got swallowed by a big fish? Oh yeah, and they have a sermon about that, right? Rather than like, let's talk about Nineveh and why he didn't want to go there. Yeah. Because he hated Ninevites. Right?
So do you like expository preaching to where it's like going through books of the Bible?
I really like that. I do.
Yeah.
And our church usually does that, and on a time to time it will just be like a short stint on whatever,
Topical something.
Leaders in a church. What does it mean to be an elder? Like whatever, right? Anyway, we're going down a crazy rabbit hole here.
One last thing. That's a cheat code. If you go to a church and they literally just preach through books of the Bible, that obviously means they preach the Bible.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's what it really comes to.
Today we're on our 38th sermon in the series of Acts.
Yeah.
You know,
we've done that. It's been kind of wild when you go through like large, long books of the Bible, you know, like takes forever, but then you know
it's
that like
worth it.
Nothing's being skipped and the pastor's not making up his own stories and
when a sermon is like 2 verses, you know it's going to be a good sermon.
No. Yeah, but the ones that I worry about are the ones where it's like a verse from Numbers, a verse from Genesis, a verse from Luke, a verse from, and it's like, okay, where are we going with this?
Today we're going to talk about courage. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, this rabbit show got wild, but
well, yeah, let's reel back. Broken church, church hurt. Tyler and I think you guys should try churches. Find a good one. Despite what Tyler thinks, I do believe you should church shop.
No. Just open up their website, check their what we believe section, see what covenants they follow.
I do think that's a good idea. That is a great idea. Look at like the church motto, right? If it doesn't say making disciples who make disciples, and instead it says something like to be there for one another in community, maybe question what they're actually about. If the intention of the church is not to build faith in the community, to build disciples, to encourage growth of the Bible, what is their goal? Is it just to be a nice community center that you guys get together on Sundays and hang out and visit? Watch the Seahawks game afterwards? I don't know. So motto or their slogan or whatever it is, and they have like, what's the big thing that churches have that it's like a 3-paragraph, like what they believe.
Yeah. They're, a lot, I mean, we see like, covenants, like what covenants do they follow or what ordinances are or whatever, but whatever. This is getting crazy. Yeah. So we need to move to the next song.
Yeah. It's your fault, dude.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's move on to the next one. I hope that was a fun conversation for everyone else. I enjoyed it.
Well, move on to the next song.
Yeah. This next one is Restart.
I can feel my heart giving in to the weight of your design. And like a remedy, you're fixing me while the world has left me blind.
I sang for you and meant what I said, but it's still hard to believe.
I love that part.
I was burning my wick at both ends, but no light could be seen.
I love this part.
I get frustrated. I get frustrated. But I just need to let go.
It's awesome.
Until your arms and
crazy just how you can make the brutal screams
I know.
fit this style of music.
I love it.
I get frustrated.
Love that second yell.
I get frustrated. But I just need to let go. Into your arms and reach straight into my heart. I've been holding on so long, but I just need to let go. Into your arms and reach straight into my heart. I've been holding,
That line, reach straight into my heart. That's awesome.
Yeah.
but I just need to let go.
Lift me up and weigh me down.
Got that going on in my right ear. I got another guitar hitting some chords in the other ear.
Something spinning.
They're very, it's not ambient, you know, spacey. Definitely feel like that, like you said, like you look at their cover art for this album, you have that constellation, the guy, you know, laying down in the eye or whatever
Yeah.
in space, and it feels like that.
Yeah, very experimental.
Yes.
Will fall into your arms and cry. You are God. You are God. Lift us up and hear our cry. You are God. You are God.
Such a good ending to the song.
Beautiful ending.
Whoo!
I think that song is kind of on par with like most of the songs on this album too. The idea lyrically, right? Of one, the idea of like it's hard to believe, right? We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of, you know, trusting in God, like you sing it and you mean it, but it's still hard to believe, you know, like
Yeah, what's that
really-
cheesy Christianese line? Let go and let God.
Jesus take the wheel, you know?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, and that's so hard to do. So I appreciate this, right? That internal struggle is there, and it fits along with everything. Just having rest from that, right? He was being burnt as a wick on both ends or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so
And still no light can be seen.
yeah,
Yeah, I get that. It sounds like he's like in a rut and he's like struggling with his faith, and he basically is like, you know, lift me up
Yeah.
into your arms, weigh me down, reach straight into my heart. You know, holding on for so long, he needs to let go. Like,
I'm not sure, but I think he's frustrated.
yeah.
So
I love that line, like, forever.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear someone say, like, I get frustrated, or, you know, I'm like,
Yeah.
good song. Like, immediately, I go straight to this, you know?
yeah,
And I could have sworn, like, my friend, you know, Bobby, he sometimes says, like, I get frustrated, like, the way he does it. And usually, like, you know, playing poker or games or something. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, from Hands. And he's like, what? I've never listened to that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, you have. I totally made you a mixtape, and that's totally on there. But
it's like something you would actually say. Like there's some things, like there's some songs where you're like, man, they definitely had to rhyme it here, they had to put this there. It feels like he just literally wrote down like what he's feeling
Exactly.
and made it fit, you know.
Exactly.
And it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yep, and I like that the song's called Restart, because it's
Start it
like,
over.
you know, it's like not necessarily like regeneration, but like, I don't know, maybe deconstruction. Like let go, stop holding on, see, you are God, reach into my heart, take control, tell me what's what.
Yeah. It's deconstruction to reconstruct, right? Like that's kind of the idea. I love the reach straight into my heart, Indiana Jones style. Just reach through my chest and grab my beating heart out in front of my eyes. It's a great picture of what God does do to like regenerate our heart, to get us. It's God doing it, right? And I think it's a beautiful lyric. It really is.
Yep. All right, should we head to the last song?
A great song.
It's gonna be a difficult
one. Don't know if I'm
one.
going to be able to hold it together while we
You
listen
can
to
do
this.
it, dude. I'm watching you. So, all right, the last song is called "Give Me Rest,"
The title track.
and it's 7 minutes of heaven.
It is. Jeez. Almost literally, man. Like, come on.
Here I sit among the clouds.
Just his voice in this, the guitars, is setting you up for just
Nothing
an emotional
but
ride, dude.
The empty sound.
You can tell the way he starts it. He's very gentle.
Yeah.
Like, let's sing as quiet as we can. Almost like he's resting. Or resting.
Resting.
The blood away. Is my name in
Love
there?
that lyric. Love the way he says it.
Is my name in there? Is my name?
And then he drifts away, vanishes away.
Send a smile to my daughter. Tell her everything is fine. And give my wisdom to my brother. And tell him to use it right.
Tell him to use it right. I remember I used to think he said, "Do you sit right?"
I love this lyric.
The thought has never left my mind. You are the end and I am fading. Will I rest with you for all of time? Is my name in there? Is my name in there? Is my
Oh, that guitar tone. Perfectly used with that silence. That guitar tells me his name was in there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I kind of like the snare drum.
Yeah.
Like, the drums in general just feel kind of more chill.
It is impossible to hear this part, to hear this song when you're driving in your car and not completely zone out.
Yeah.
And just feel the music. Impossible.
Yeah. You look at the speedometer and you're going twice as fast.
You got home and you didn't even realize how you got there. You're just like, oh, that was dangerous. Like, think about how this song started to how we are now. It's beautiful.
I think this does such a good job at like portraying rest, getting rest compared to the rest of the songs.
Absolutely. Here we are, right back above the clouds, or on the clouds, like he said, you know?
Tell my wife I adore her, that she is beautiful and kind. Here I sit among the clouds. I was wrong, you were right. Give me rest.
That was the best lyric of the entire album that summed everything up, right? Jeez.
That you were wrong and that I was right?
Yeah, dude. Like this whole struggle, right? This whole album of struggle. Like, what do I believe? I'm a bad person. I'm doing this, you know, all these things that are going on. Look at the other people that are doing these things. At the very end, he just... all of that. I was wrong. You were right. Give me
capital U.
Capital Y-O-U. Yep. Beautiful. Amazing song. My favorite on the album by far.
Really?
And he doesn't even, it's not even heavy, doesn't even scream. It's just, it's a really good song. A really good emotional song. Makes you feel something. It wraps everything up. It gives an answer too. You know, like, you don't know, just even in the last song or the last two songs, you don't know if he finds his rest that he's been trying to seek, that if he's going to be able to figure out his doubts, and he does.
Yep.
His name was in there.
We sure hope so.
It was, because like that, when that music kicks in after the last time he says, is my name in there, and that music kicks in. He
doesn't say it the third time for the third verse.
It's just like, boom. Yeah, it doesn't say the third verse.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Amazing. Great way to wrap up an album. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, but I don't know if it would be that great of a song for me without all the other songs.
So, is this a concept album then, in a sense? I mean, not necessarily. It's a...
I wouldn't say it's a concept, but they're definitely related.
It's a topical album about a certain
It's got a theme. Yeah.
Thematic, yeah. You're right. It all builds up to that, you know. But... I don't know. When he starts
we've always talked about how do you end an album, you know?
Yeah.
Like, do you end it like with your banger? No. Like
not usually.
You gotta like, do you end it with a song that's a throwaway that you're like, we didn't know where else to put it, or do you end it with like something like this, a heavy, like musically heavy piece, but this one throws on a bunch of emotion.
Yeah.
You know, talking about his daughter, talking about his brother, his wife. You know, like he's died, right? He's in the clouds, whether, you know, sitting at the pearly gates, so to speak, you know, like, is my name in there?
Just like trying to peek over, you know.
Hey.
No, man, it's interesting because you think about like when you pass away, what do you think? What are you gonna think about in your last moments? Like, what do you think about? And the things that he talks about are things that I think I would think about too. My family, right? My wife. But I really, really love when he thinks about all the people he's wronged in his life and it's never left his mind.
Yep.
Like, I do that all the time. I think about times where I wronged people. I sinned.
Yeah.
Right? And even to this day, I think about that, and just like something like in my gut just feels weird, you know? My heart sinks, even if it was 10 years ago, you know? And so it's really interesting that you still going to the grave, or in essence, going to heaven, right? You're still thinking about this imperfect life where everything wasn't great, right? And he's going to a place to where he can have rest from all of that.
Yep. Powerful album.
Cool. Yeah, great album.
So I don't know if we talked about this before or not, but you know that I love this album. It's one of maybe my top 10 albums for me. What do you think of the whole album now?
So I really like the album. I love all of the themes, because I personally, like, as I listen, I identify with a lot of it. Musically, it's very experimental. And so some songs, like, I'm all on board and I love. Mm-hmm. And then there's other songs I'm like, I don't know. But it's different. Like, you usually don't get the same thing, which I also really enjoy. Is this the softest album we've done, or would you say that'd be Idle Threat?
Yeah, maybe Idle Threat. Maybe Under Oath.
See, I would say, like, musically, instrumentation, this is...
Yeah, and, like, there's not really
heavy.
breakdowns, you know? Like, it's got grooves.
And it's got chugs.
Yeah, it's got a lot of ambient stuff. But
there's
I think
distorted guitars.
Vocally, this is way heavier than some of the stuff we've done. And at the same time, not as heavy as some of the stuff.
Right. Yeah, so it's an interesting piece, because I don't know how you even categorize it.
Yeah.
You know, it's so different, you know? Is it rock? Is it experimental metalcore? Is it post-metalcore?
I think people have called it post-hardcore.
Post-hardcore?
Like, their Spotify says that they were an ambitious Christian metal band.
Ooh, just metal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fierce dynamics, powerful distorted vocals, and precise rhythms. There you go.
Absolutely. So, what do I think about the album? Love it. It's great. It's not one of those where, like, I hated it before and now I'm in love with it. Like, it's not a Phineas. Not that I hated Phineas before, but it's like Phineas, like, I just was like, I don't get it, why people like it.
Right.
At all. And then I really gave it time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I been missing? This, I understand why people like it. And I like it. Some aspects, for sure, of it. And some songs, like the last song, I really like.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I think
it's top 10 for me.
Yeah, I think this isn't like a playlist album. Like, you can't just... There's a couple songs that I think you could just throw on a playlist and be like, oh yeah, that's a good one. Like, when that song comes on, here we go. But whenever I'm in the mood for hands, like, I just play this album front to back. Yeah. Like, I mean, you put it on shuffle in a playlist. You know, most of my playlists are just full albums, you know, like boom, 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 boom. And I put that on shuffle sometimes, and it's like, you know, you just randomly show up on, like, Northern Lights, and you're just like, I thought this was heavy metal. I'm at the gym. How am I supposed to do this with this song? Like, you know.
Yeah. It's not one either where you're trying to have fun and, like, you get the aux cord passed. People don't pass aux cords anymore. Whatever. You connect to their Bluetooth, you know, or whatever.
We understand. It's a cultural thing. We know what you mean. It's a cultural thing. Yeah.
And you put on Give Me Rest, and the whole car is like, geez, now we're crying. Now you just
road trip starting. Let's do this. You're like, I got a banger. Give me this.
I got a banger. Ready to hear about
Let's get this party started.
Yeah. So you're right. There's a time and a place, you know. It's, for me, like, the perfect listening experience is solo driving. Like, that's it. Or, like, you're listening to it on a walk.
Yep.
You know, like, it's like a introspective album that I think can, one, it's really good and well done, but two, it actually, I think, is edifying and has a positive impact with what you're going through in your walk with God.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it's just, I think that's the perfect listening experience. I don't know if it's a party song, you know, party album, not a gym album, but it is so powerful and unashamedly personal, right? Which I think is why I like it a lot too, is that it's, like I said throughout the whole thing, it feels like he just wrote these lyrics down and was like, I'm gonna figure out a way to scream
this is what
these.
I'm going through. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna scream these. You know, there's not a whole bunch of rhyming and whatever lyrics like that. It's straight up like, let's go. This is what I'm saying. This was my diary journal.
Yeah. Well, I guess that wraps up the episode.
Yeah.
So, listeners, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, become a patron on Patreon. And you get ad-free versions, episodes free. And if you guys haven't listened to our core values, we've been doing it for like a little over a month now.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
Check them out. Like, they're a lot of fun. We kind of took the idea of that, listening to songs as we go, and kind of incorporated on this episode. So we'd love to hear feedback on that. Like, no, guys, stop talking during the music. I want to listen to it. Or, if you like it, let us know. Check out our Instagram. Check out our Facebook. Check out our Discord server.
Discord, yes.
So, yeah. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening.